In this video, we're diving into the latest upgrades for the Predator's custom signal system. We're going to be showing you how to easily automate many of your favorite third-party indicators. If you're new here, the Predator is a powerful order entry and management system for NinjaTrader. It lets users fully or semi-automate their strategies, and you also get a bunch of highly customizable manual entry options as well. But one of its main features is its ability to automate signals from third-party indicators. There is a free trial available on Discord. I'm going to leave the link down below. But in this video, we're going to be focusing on the brand new plot signal system, which is going to make automating these signals much faster, cleaner, and compatible with a lot more indicators. So with that, let's get right into it. And to get started with how to automate these plot signals, we first must understand how it works. So unlike the original draw object mode, where we rely on visual elements like arrows or some sort of a text, the plot signal mode will work by detecting the actual signal value. So we'll take this opening range for an example. If you see the values for our plot and we scroll over our signal, you will often see something like a +1 for a long or a -1 for a short. But of course, there are many different variations. Every indicator is coded differently, but all we're trying to do is use these values in order to help us automate our strategy. And first, let's go over how to make sure that our indicator actually has some sort of a plot value that can be used with our system. The easiest way to do that, just go to your chart and go to the show data box. And all you're going to want to do is scroll over the signal. This could be if it plots an arrow, a triangle, it's really whatever signal your indicator plots. Just make sure you hover over it and see if there's any values that change. So this one with my free opening range, you'll see that there really isn't anything that we can use. So the next step is usually these signal plots are actually hidden because they are transparent. So just double check, go into your indicator properties, and we're going to want to scroll down all the way to the bottom. That is where you can find your plot section. Now, not every indicator is going to have this section. It really depends how your developer coded it, but most bigger brand name indicators out there are going to have some sort of a plot section, and they're going to have a dedicated signal. Again, not everybody will, but most of the bigger names will. So if you see that you do have one, but it's transparent, you can just color it white. And guys, you don't have to do these steps. This is just for us to get a visual, just so we understand what value we're looking for. So I'm just going to color it in white for now, and then hit apply. And now you're going to see that our signal actually appears on the chart. So again, if we scroll through each bar, we don't see anything until we get to our signal. So like I said in the previous section, you'll often find some sort of a +1 or -1 depending on the direction. And yes, guys, the Predator will pick it up even if the signal is transparent. Again, you don't have to color it in. This is just for the visual. But just to show another example of something you might find, I'm going to head over to my other chart here. And we're using this half trend indicator. And again, you're going to see we have an up signal and a down signal. If we scroll through the bars, there's NA, no value. But as soon as we scroll over where our short signal is, you'll notice that our down signal now has a value. That value just happens to be the current price, but don't worry, we can use this as well. So again, I'm just going to keep scrolling. There's no value, no value. When we get to our up signal, the up signal again changes to the current price value. So these are just a few examples of the indicators that we can use. Now let's go into the Predator to show how to actually set this up to take trades. Now to automate these signals, let's go into our Predator properties. And from here, we're going to scroll down to O2B auto entries and select the custom signals option. For this example, I'm just going to do one entry signal. So just go to this drop-down list and select the 1. And from here, we're switching the signal mode over to plot mode. These will work very similar to the object mode where we have to find the signal tag, but don't worry, the plot mode is actually a whole lot easier. We're going to be able to select this from a drop-down later on, so we don't have to worry about it just yet. All we have to worry about is our entry operator and the entry plot value. And this is going to be where you define your condition in order to actually enter the trade. So your entry operator you're going to find equals, greater than, less than, cross above, cross below. Make sure you're on the latest version of the Predator for these last two options. But for many indicators out there, we're going to be using the equals option. And just like we showed before with the +1 and -1 value, that is all we have to type into the plot value. So for your long, we're looking for the value to equal a +1. And for your short, we want to equals -1. And that is all you need. Let's just hit apply and head over to our chart. And we're going to enable the Predator. Now from here, I want to focus our attention on the top left-hand side to our validation system. You're going to see, especially if you're on playback, you haven't pushed play, or maybe the market's at the end of the day, there's no volume, or you're waiting for market open. There's no price movement, nothing is loading. In order to generate all of the signals, we need some sort of a price movement. So I'm just going to hit play. And by the time you see your P&L, that means everything is loaded on the chart. Let's go back up to our validation system. And now you're going to see every single indicator plot that is currently loaded on the chart. So all you have to do here is select the actual signal that you're using. So in this case, it's the ORB TradeSaber signal. You want to do that for your long, and you want to do that for your short. And that is all that you need in order to automate this signal. Now, if we hit play, all we're waiting for is that breakout of the opening range where we get that +1 or that -1 signal. Perfect. So here, if we look at our signal, we got a value of +1. That is what our long entry condition was defined as. And it entered us into a long trade with all of the correct order management that we selected within our properties. Or you can select it right within the panel as well. So that's how it works with the equals values. But I want to show you another example if you don't actually have a +1 or -1 value like we do for this opening range. All right, so over here using this modified half trend indicator, again, like I mentioned, not every indicator is coded the same. I'm just using this one as an example, but sometimes you're not going to get those nice +1, -1 values, but we try to give as many options as possible so that we can get creative with our automation. So just to show an example of how to automate an indicator like this, again, let's go into the Predator properties. And again, we're going to head down to that custom signal section. And for our entry signal, again, using plot mode. But this time, instead of an equals value, all we're going to do is wait for a cross above. And we're going to change this to 0. Because for this specific indicator, whenever we don't have a signal, the value is set to 0 or NA. So all we're trying to do is once we get that actual signal, because we're at 0, we're just crossing above it, and we're entering whenever we get that signal. So don't worry, I'll show you how that looks. And we have to do the same, it's cross above for both the long and the short. All we have to do is pick the different signal. So once you have cross above and cross above, again, let's head over to our chart. And we need that price movement in order to load our plots. Now that we have it, all we have to do is select the up signal for the long and the down signal for the shorts. And that is all that we need. I'm going to speed this up so we can see a few entries. All right, so here we get our short entry signal because we crossed above 0 for that down signal. So it entered us into a short position. So let me just speed this up a little bit. And we'll see if we can find a long example as well. There we go. So over here, we got our up signal that crossed above 0. So we entered a long position. And just one thing to keep in mind, guys, with the plot signal mode, the plots will only enter at the close of a bar. And this is to help reduce lag on the system. So unlike the draw objects where you can modify it to enter immediately as the signal appears on the same bar, the plot mode, at least for now, will only be on the close of the bar. So just keep that limitation in mind. But with that, we're moving on. All right, for our next section is what if you want to use these same signal plots, but instead of using them to enter a trade, what if you want to use them instead to filter out a secondary auto entry? Well, we can use these same signal plots to do just that. Now, how the filter system works, let's say we have two light switches. One is for your longs, one is for your shorts. While the long switch is on, this is when your long auto entries are going to be able to actually take trades. But if you were to turn off your long switch, your long auto entries will no longer be valid. The same thing for the shorts. You turn on your short switch, it's going to allow short auto entries. You turn it off, it's not going to allow short auto entries. So just think of them as independent on and off switches. So for this example today, we're going to be using this multi-time frame ninZa indicator because it provides our on switch. This is this entry switch right here. And it also provides our exit or our off switch. So instead of using it to actually enter trades, we're just going to enable our filter with these signals, and we're going to take our actual auto entry within this range. So let me show you how to set that up. All right, so inside our Predator properties, again, we're going to head down to the custom signal section. And this time we're using the bottom filter signal. All we need is one, and it's going to give us the options for the long and the short. And again, switch this to plot mode. So for this MTF indicator, you can find the plot values on ninZa's website or the same way we showed earlier. But for the long on position, that is going to be a value of +1. To turn it off, that is a value of +2. That is when the trend changes for the long condition. Now for the shorts, it's going to be a value of -1. That is going to turn it on to the short side. To turn off the short side is a value of equals -2. And again, guys, we can select the plot name directly from the chart, so we don't really need to do anything else. But because the filter is not what actually enters a trade, it's just filtering your trades, we need to select another auto entry. So of course you can combine this with an entry signal or one of the Predator's built-in auto entry options. I'm just going to keep it simple. I'm going to select a simple inside bar. And I'll color them in so we can see them. So now it's only going to take those inside bars within our filter conditions. So let's see how that looks. We'll hit apply and we're going to enable this on the chart. And again, we need that price change in order to load all of our signals. So once you see that P&L, let's head up here. And for this one, we're going to select the signal trade option. And you're going to do that for all of them. And yes, you could also, for this specific indicator, you could do the state as well. But I just want to show you an example with two different signals turning on and off the filter. So once you have that, I do recommend disabling it once you have your filters and then re-enabling it with the correct tags now. And if you disable and re-enable, it's going to reset it and recalculate everything with the current values. So in case you're already in a filter, these buttons will automatically set you in that direction. But in this case, we don't have any signals yet, so it doesn't really matter. But let's just hit play here. So we're just waiting for another signal here. But as you can see, it's not going to take any of these inside bars until we get that filter signal turned on. All right, so here we finally got our long filter signal on. That is the +1 value that turns your long filter on. So if you take a look up here to your validation system, you'll see long turned on, and it also turned green to notify you that it is taking long trades now, it is active. So in this case, now if we were to get an inside bar within this filter, then it will take that inside bar. So let's see if we can get one over here somewhere. All right, so here's an inside bar, and there's another one. As soon as we break above, then it entered our trade with any management that we have selected. And again, that's because we were inside our long filter while it was on. So it allows those long entries. Now let's wait until the filter itself turns off. Let's see if we can get that happening soon. All right, so now if we get another inside bar, it's going to re-enter again, or if the filter turns off, it'll prevent any more trades. All right, here we got another inside bar, and that one looks like stopped us out. That's all good. But over here, we get our long filter off signal. So once we get this signal, that was the +2 signal, it automatically turns our long filter off. And now it's no longer going to allow any new trades until we get another filter, either long or short. For a final example, I want to go over the exit signals. What these do is basically just the complete opposite of your entry, but they still use the exact same signals. So when they detect a signal that you give it, instead of entering your position, if you are already in a trade, it's just going to take you out of that position. And yes, you can customize between long and short. So I'm going to use the same ninZa indicator to set this up. So first, I'm going to set up our entry signal so we can enter at the beginning of that MTF filter. So again, plot mode, our long entry was a +1, our short entry is a -1. This is just going to get us into the trade instead of filtering like we did in the last example. So this will actually submit the order. But now let's set up an exit signal. And for this one, again, plot mode. And to exit our long signal that's at the end of that trend, we're going to change this to a +2. And then to exit our short condition, this is going to be a -2. So let's again load this on the chart. All we need is that initial price change and select your signal trade for each one. Now we are just waiting for that long entry signal. And let me actually, so we don't get stopped out before the trend changes. So I'm just moving everything a little farther away and taking off the trail stop. So again, we're just waiting for that trend signal to finish or give us the exit signal. Perfect. So here we got our exit signal, that is the +2 value, and it automatically took us out of our entire position, so we're no longer in that trade. And that's how the exit signals work. It's just a way to get a signal and take you out of your position. And guys, just before I let you go, I do want to go over a few quick notes that I think are going to be very helpful. For these plot signals, they will load historical trades much faster. So if you go into your controls, show historical trades, I don't recommend using show historical trades while it's running live. But if you just want to quickly see your historical trades, make sure you load all your indicators on the chart. It's not going to work in Strategy Analyzer. It needs to be on a chart. But as long as everything is already loaded, you have show historical trades, and you enable it, this is now going to load a lot faster than if you were to use the object signals. I know this was a pretty big issue with the draw object signals where it can take a while to load, but when it comes to plots, they are much, much faster. So as you can see, we have our historical trades here. And guys, historical trades are never going to be as accurate as if you were running it on playback or live on a sim. But this should help you get a quick overview of what to expect. And of course, if you want to see your P&L with these indicators, you have your P&L down here, or you can see the strategy performance, historical data. Again, I didn't really test anything on this indicator. This is just a quick example, but you can see all of that data right directly through NinjaTrader. And one last note is that for some indicators, you don't actually need a set signal. So as long as you have some sort of a set value, then you may be able to use that to automate these indicators as well. Let's take this built-in RSI for an example. We're going to go into the properties, and let's say we want to enter long when it crosses above the half line, or enter short when it crosses below the short line. Or you could also do the overbought, oversold zones, whatever it may be, as long as it has a set value. And guys, I'm just using this as an example. Obviously, you can customize this however you want. So again, I'm just going to show a quick example. So as an entry signal, change that to plot. For my long entry operator, I'm just going to say cross above, and I'm just looking at that halfway point. I'm just going to say 50. And for my short entry point, the complete opposite, I'm going to say cross below, and I'm going to change that to 50 as well. And just for a quick example, so we don't waste too much more time, I'm going to enable the show historical trades. And when we enable, we're going to see nothing because we haven't selected the plot. So again, you need that price change. Select your value that you want to use. And if you want to see the show historical trades, just disable, re-enable again. Now you should load every single trade. So obviously this is taking quite a few trades because it crosses that 50 point quite a bit. But here we can see when it crosses above 50, it enters long. When it crosses below 50, it enters short. And during this time where nothing seems to happen, there's no trades. So again, guys, this is just an example. Customize this however you want. All of these same steps will work very similar on many built-in indicators as long as they have that set value. And don't worry, I'm already working on the next generation of the Predator, which is going to allow even more indicators to be used and even more customization. But for now, this is where I'm going to end the video. I hope you guys found it useful. As always, take care. Enjoy.